For decades, farmers across America have relied on tractors that worked hard, without burning through a tank of fuel. Today, we're counting down the top 7 most fuel-efficient older tractors. The machines that proved you don't need big fuel bills to get big work done. And trust me, the closer we get to number 1, the more surprising the savings become. Number 7, the J.I. Case 930 Comfort King Diesel. Out in the wide fields of the Midwest, the 930 earned a reputation that farmers still talk about today. They called it a gentle giant, a machine that could pull hard all day, yet sip fuel like it was trying to save you money. Its 6-cylinder diesel ran best at low RPM, building steady torque without wasting a drop, and for a tractor pushing 80 to 90 horsepower back in its day, that was something truly special. When heavy tillage needed to be done, deep plowing, disking, or long days turning soil, the 930 was often the first machine chosen, not because it was fancy, and not because it was the newest, but because it simply got the job done with a fuel bill that didn't hurt. Compared to other tractors in its class, owners noticed the difference immediately. The gauge moved slower, the work seemed easier, the engine just kept its rhythm. The Comfort King design had a raised operator platform, giving the driver a wide, open view of the field, and despite its square, rugged look, the tractor had a surprisingly smooth feel. You didn't have to push the throttle hard to get it moving. It settled into a steady pull, the kind of steady that made long days feel a little shorter. One of the things farmers appreciated most was how simple the drivetrain was. Straightforward, dependable, easy to repair at home with basic tools, at a time when fuel prices could swing wildly, and when every gallon mattered. That simplicity, and that efficiency, made the 930 a trusted partner on large farms across the Midwest and beyond. And even today, if you go to an auction and see a 930 roll across the lot, you'll hear someone say it. That old case still works hard, but it sure doesn't cost much to run. It's the kind of compliment only a lifetime of real field work can earn. The 930 Comfort King may sit at number 7 on our list, but the stories behind it have stood tall for generations. And coming up next, a tractor that delivers the same dependable strength, but with a touch more finesse in how it saves fuel. Number 6, the Oliver 1650 Diesel. The 1650 holds a place of quiet respect among farmers who worked the fields through the 60s and 70s. It wasn't the biggest tractor, and it wasn't the flashiest, but it was one of the most efficient machines Oliver ever built. At the heart of it was the Waukesha diesel engine, a motor known for its clean burn, strong pull, and remarkable ability to use every drop of fuel with almost no waste. Around 66 horsepower, yet light on its feet, especially when working those medium-duty tasks that fill most days on the farm: plowing, cultivating, cutting hay, hauling wagons. Farmers often described the 1650 as having a steady breath. What they meant was simple. Once you put it to work, the engine settled into a smooth, even rhythm, and it stayed there, hour after hour, acre after acre. And while the work went on, the fuel gauge hardly moved. That slow drop in the tank became one of the 1650's most beloved traits. A quiet reminder that efficiency isn't always about horsepower, it's about harmony between power and patience. The tractor's frame was solid and well balanced, giving it a planted feel on rough ground. The transmission shifted cleanly, without fighting the operator, and maybe most importantly, the 1650 didn't require constant throttle changes to keep its pace. It held a steady speed naturally, which meant less wasted fuel and a more relaxed day for the person in the seat. That calm, dependable behavior is something older farmers still talk about with a smile. For many, the 1650 represents the best of Oliver's philosophy. Built stronger than the price you paid, these tractors were honest machines. No nonsense, no drama, just steady work and modest fuel bills. Even today, when one shows up at a farm sale, you'll hear someone say, "That old Oliver, that one was a real friend out in the field," and they mean it. To them, the 1650 wasn't just metal and bolts. It was that gentle partner that never complained and never wasted. That's why it earns its place. At number 6, but coming in at number 5, is a tractor that surprises many folks. It's powerful, capable, and yet somehow even more fuel smart than most people expect. Number 5. The Allis-Chalmers D17 Diesel. For many farmers, especially those who worked through the 1960s and early 70s, the D17 marked a turning point for Allis-Chalmers. It was the moment AC proved they could build a tractor that was strong, compact, and incredibly fuel efficient all at once. The heart of the D17 diesel was its 4-cylinder engine, a design that let the tractor run at lower RPM while still producing a steady, confident pull, and running at those lower speeds meant one thing: less fuel burned. In fact, the D17 often used noticeably less fuel than the big 6-cylinder tractors of its time, while still handling a surprising amount of real farm work. What made the D17 especially loved was its versatility. This wasn't a tractor that did just one job well, it did many jobs well: plowing ground in the spring, cutting hay in the summer, hauling loads from field to barn, running augers or mowers or balers. Whatever the season brought, the D17 stepped up without feeling wasteful or overworked. Farmers appreciated that even on busy days, the fuel gauge dropped slowly, almost politely. The controls were simple, clearly laid out, and easy to understand, and the power director system, a feature many old-timers still praise, allowed the operator to shift between high and low ranges on the move. That meant smoother adjustments, fewer bursts of throttle, and far better fuel control throughout the day. Instead of constantly revving the engine to maintain power, the D17 let you stay in that sweet spot where efficiency and performance met perfectly. For farmers who are now in their 50s, 60s, or 70s, the D17 represents a time when fuel efficiency wasn't just a nice bonus, it was a necessity. Every gallon mattered, every dollar mattered, and a tractor that could stretch fuel while still doing honest work became something worth holding onto. It's no wonder so many people remember the D17 with pride, and with a little smile. That reliability, that practicality, that quiet strength, that's what earns the D17 its place at number 5. And coming in at number 4 is a smaller tractor, but one that many consider a true legend of fuel savings. Number 4, the Massey Ferguson 135 Diesel. If there's a tractor that truly deserves the title one of the most fuel-efficient machines ever built, it's the MF 135 Diesel. This little workhorse became famous not because it was the biggest or the strongest, but because it did more with less fuel than almost anything else in its class. At the center of that reputation was the Perkins AD 3.152, a simple, honest 3-cylinder engine that burned clean, started easily, and delivered strong low-end torque without wasting a drop. Farmers who ran these tractors back in the day still smile when they talk about them. Many say they could work from sunup to sundown and barely see the fuel gauge move. And even though the MF 135 only produced around 45 horsepower, it handled nearly every job a medium-sized farm needed: mowing hay fields, pulling wagons, cultivating rows, running small equipment, tending livestock yards. It wasn't flashy, but it was dependable, predictable, and incredibly economical. Part of the magic came from its simplicity. The engine had fewer moving parts, fewer points of failure, and a cleaner burn than many of the larger 6-cylinder tractors of its era. It started well in cold weather. It didn't cough or sputter under load, and because it was so easy to maintain, owners kept them running efficiently for decades. Less downtime meant less wasted fuel, and less money poured into repairs. It was the kind of tractor you could trust, year after year, season after season. At auctions today, you'll often see buyers perk up when a Perkins 3-cylinder Massey rolls across the block, not because it's rare, not because it's powerful, but because its fuel savings have stood the test of time. The MF 135 has become a symbol of what a smart, practical tractor should be: simple, economical, and built to last. That's why it sits proudly at number 4 on our list. And coming in at number 3 is a Ford that many folks consider the true economy champion of the 50 to 60 horsepower class. Number 3, the Ford 3000 Diesel. For many American farmers, especially those now in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, the Ford 3000 wasn't just a tractor, it was a partner, a machine that showed up every day, did the work that needed doing, and somehow managed to stretch a tank of diesel farther than almost anyone expected. The heart of the 3000 was its efficient 3-cylinder diesel engine. One of Ford's most successful designs, light, lively, and surprisingly strong, it delivered the kind of power a farm truly needed, without burning unnecessary fuel. What made the Ford 3000 so beloved was how naturally it fit into everyday work, mowing long fields of grass, pulling small trailers around the yard, cultivating rows, doing mid-depth plowing. The 3000 handled these tasks with ease, and every farmer who ran one remembers the same thing. You didn't have to push the throttle. Once the tractor settled into a job, it just stayed there, steady, calm, and efficient. The fuel gauge dropped slow, the hours passed easy, the 8-speed transmission was another reason for its great reputation. Smooth, well-spaced gears allowed the 3000 to hold a consistent pace through turns, slopes, and varying soil conditions. There was no need to constantly rev the engine or force it to work harder than necessary. Ford got the gear ratios just right, and that mechanical balance showed up in real-world fuel savings. Durability played a big role, too. Many Ford 3000 tractors have been running for 40 or 50 years with only basic maintenance. They don't leak as much, they don't break as often, and they don't waste energy fighting worn-out components. A tractor that stays tight and healthy naturally uses less fuel over its lifetime, and the 3000 is one of the best examples of that truth. For the older generation of farmers, the Ford 3000 is remembered with genuine affection. It represents a time when a tractor didn't have to be huge to be reliable, and didn't have to be complicated to be efficient. It was straightforward, affordable, and honest, the kind of machine that earned trust acre by acre. That's why the Ford 3000 stands proudly at number 3 on our list. But the real shocker comes next. At number 2, a red tractor that many folks never realized was that fuel smart. Number 2, the Farmall 560 diesel. The 560 diesel holds a special place in the memories of many seasoned farmers. It was the big red machine that proved a tractor didn't have to guzzle fuel to deliver honest, day-long power. At the heart of it was the D282 engine, a 6-cylinder diesel known across the Midwest as an engine that eats little, works plenty. Farmers who spent long days in the seat often say the same thing. The 560 felt relaxed. You didn't need to push the throttle, you didn't need to keep the RPM screaming, yet it still had the muscle to pull a 4-bottom plow in the right conditions. What set the 560 apart was how smoothly and steadily it ran under continuous load, when working at medium duty, the kind of work that fills most of a farm day. Its fuel efficiency was remarkable. Hour after hour, the engine held its rhythm, strong, even, unbothered, and while the work kept going, the fuel gauge moved slowly. Sometimes surprisingly slowly compared to other 6-cylinder tractors of the era. For many owners, that slow-dropping needle became the clearest sign of the 560's true value. Another advantage was the design philosophy of International Harvester at the time. These tractors were built with simple, sensible engineering, easy to service, easy to maintain, few leaks, minimal waste. A machine that stays tight, clean, and well sealed over decades naturally burns less fuel, and the 560 exemplified that. Even after 60 years, many of these tractors are still out there, still working, and still delivering the kind of fuel savings that made them famous. Owners often talk about the feeling of confidence the 560 gave them. It wasn't a flashy tractor, it wasn't overbuilt or oversized, it was steady, it was predictable, it was economical in the most practical, real-world way, and that combination of steady power and low fuel use is what earned the 560 such deep respect from the older generation of farmers. Today, many still consider it one of the most efficient 6-cylinder tractors International Harvester ever produced, a machine that proved wisdom and balance could outperform brute strength. That's why Farmall 560 earns its place at number 2, but the number 1 spot belongs to a tractor that became a true icon. The John Deere 4020 diesel, a machine known not just for its power, but for fuel efficiency that has stood the test of time. Number 1, the John Deere 4020 diesel. For farmers across America, especially those now over 55, the 4020 isn't just a tractor, it's a memory, a milestone. A symbol of a time when a hard-working machine could change the way an entire farm operated. If you grew up anywhere near a field in the 60s or 70s, you either drove one, rode on one, or heard someone brag proudly about theirs. And there's a good reason the 4020 sits at the very top of this list. Under the hood was John Deere's rock-solid 6-cylinder diesel, a masterclass in efficient engineering. It produced strong, confident torque at low RPM. The kind of deep pulling power that gets real work done without wasting fuel. Even though the 4020 pushed past 95 horsepower, it ran with a calm steadiness that surprised many farmers. You didn't have to race the engine, you didn't have to force it through tough soil. It simply settled into its work, held its pace, and sipped fuel far more gently than most tractors in its class. And the 4020 could do everything: plowing heavy ground, working a disc, running a baler, pulling wagons at harvest, even hauling loads down the road. It became the all-around machine that families relied on year-round. Many farmers still say, if a job needed doing, the 4020 was the one I brought out. And part of what made it so efficient was the Syncro-Range transmission, smooth, flexible gearing that allowed operators to choose the perfect speed without the constant throttle spikes that burn extra diesel. But there's another reason the 4020 became such a legend. It was built right. With more than 180,000 units produced, it proved its durability on farms from Nebraska to Ohio. A tractor that stays tight, stays solid, and stays dependable naturally uses less fuel over a lifetime, and that long-lasting reliability made the 4020 more than a tool. It made it an investment, a partner, a benchmark. Even today, more than half a century later, you'll still hear farmers say, if you want a diesel tractor that works hard and saves fuel, the 4020 is number one, and they mean it. Its combination of strength, efficiency, and trust earned it a place no other tractor has managed to claim. That's why the John Deere 4020 diesel stands proudly at the top of our list, the true icon of fuel-smart power that has stood the test of time. These tractors aren't just fuel efficient, they also represent a golden age of American farming, a time when durability, simplicity, and efficiency were the lifeblood of a farm. If you owned one of these machines, or have any fond memories of them, please share them in the comments. Your real stories always warm the community. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video about farm legends.